Hello insiders! This video is all about monetization, but very specifically we're going to go deep into Adsense guidelines. So in the past we talked about community guidelines, we talked about monetization policies in general. Now we're going to go into Adsense specifically. Now first things first, one thing that you want to remember is that for the YouTube Partner Program to work, we need advertisers who want to be associated with the content that's in that program. In order to do that, there are these guidelines from Adsense that you can keep in mind. There are a lot of Adsense guidelines, but there's two in particular that are most relevant to you as a YouTube creator. So the first one is called Repetitious Content. This is where a channel has multiple videos on the channel, but the videos are so similar that a viewer may not even be able to tell the difference between them. Now you may wonder, well, why do we have this policy? Mainly, we just want to make sure if we're going to be monetizing content, that channel is providing a good experience to viewers. And if viewers feel like it's the same video over and over again, or they can't tell the difference, then that obviously doesn't give the viewer the best experience possible. Now, before you get too worried, let me give you some examples of what is allowed. So one example would be, let's say your videos have the same intro and outro, but the bulk of the content in the middle is different. That is okay. That is not a channel that has repetitious content. You may have a channel that has maybe a series all about related topics, and each video talks about specific qualities or characteristics of that topic. That's okay. Now we can go into some things that are not allowed. What is truly not allowed repetitious content? First example, and I've actually seen some, whoa, do not segue. So now let's go into some examples of repetitious content that's not allowed. The first one is if you have a channel that features exclusively readings of other materials that you did not create, like if you had a channel that just took text from a website or news feeds, and then you just added like an automated voice to it, that would be considered repetitious. Another example, if you have a channel where all it is are songs, where the pitch or the pace is slightly modified, but other than that, it's just a derivative product of the original. Another one could be if you have a channel where every video is templated, or it's even like programmatically generated. That's considered repetitious. The next is reused content. The definition of reused content is if you had a channel that actually repurposes someone else's content without adding any original commentary or significant educational value. So the spirit of the reused content policy is it's okay if you have other content as part of your video, but you need to add original value to it. You need to add your own take. You need to provide some unique content around it and throughout it so that it's substantially different than the original work that you are using as a basis of your new video. So one thing to note is that the Adsense reused content guideline and YouTube copyright enforcement, they're related, but they're very different. So as an example, the person who created the original work may actually have given you full permission to reuse their work. But if you don't add sufficient new content and narrative and educational value to it so that it's substantially different than the original work, while you may not be in violation of YouTube copyright policy, you still would be in violation of the Adsense reused content policy. Here's some examples of reused content that does not violate the policies. You could be using clips for a critical review where you're adding your own thoughts about what you think of this content and why you think it's good or bad. You could take a scene from a movie, but you've rewritten the dialogue and you've recorded a new voiceover. You could take a clip from a sports game and then you add commentary about the special moves or the play that was selected or the tactics behind what happened in that moment in that sports game. That's okay. Another example would be reaction videos, where you comment on the original video and you give your thoughts on what you think of it and why you like it. So now, what are some examples of reuse that are not allowed? One example is if you have your favorite show and you take a bunch of clips from that show, your favorite clips, and you string them together with no or very little narrative, that would not be okay. If you made a video or a short video, let's say, and all it is compiled from content from other social media websites, that would not be okay. Another example is if you have collections of songs from different artists. Even if you have their permission, that still does not comply with the AdSense reuse policy. Another example of something that's not okay is if you upload content that has already been uploaded by other creators previously. Okay, so you're probably wondering, whoa, that's a lot to think about. It is. So one thing that you should keep in mind, we do periodically check to make sure that channels that are already in the YouTube Partner Program are still staying consistent and are abiding by these guidelines. And that's to protect all the other YPP members out there, to make sure that, you know, the folks that are following the rules are able to monetize as much as they can. As a tip, our reviewers generally are not going to look at every single video when they do these sort of check-ins with your channel. But what they will do is they're going to focus on a few things like the main theme, your most viewed videos, the newest videos, the videos with the highest proportion of watch time, and then they're going to look at the video metadata. So in summary, we talked about the AdSense program, which is kind of related but different than our monetization guidelines and different than our community guidelines and different than our terms of service. With regards to AdSense, there's two things you really want to focus on: repetitious content and reuse content. And what you want to also keep in mind is, even if you are in the YPP program, the YouTube Partner Program today, we do periodic check-ins to make sure channels maintain compliance. And when they do, we're going to look at the main theme of the channel, the most popular videos, the videos with the most watch time. We're going to look at the metadata. So keep in mind that you want to stay within all of those suggested guidelines to maintain good membership in the partner program. So hope that was helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to put them in the comments below, and maybe we can make a subsequent video to go even more deeper into the details and the nuances. But we know that a lot of people have been saying, hey, sometimes I don't know why I'm not admitted to the YouTube Partner Program or why I was removed. And we just wanted to give you a little more context so that you can be as informed as possible. Keep it real.